If you can't do it with one bullet, don't do it at all. From a fantastical steampunk submarine right out of a PS3 cutscene, this is Debaser, a film podcast. I'm Jared Rusk, and I'm joined by my co-host, Will Taylor.
Ahoy.
On this show, we explore both new and familiar movies to bring you details and discussion about them, all in an effort to debase the films and ourselves. Today's episode begins a new series in which we explore the comic book movies of our youth, films made between 1995 and 2005, before the Marvel Cinematic Universe, before Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, back when comic book movies were weird and wacky and often very ill-advised. No tentpole franchises, no universes, no conventions announcing the next decade of releases, and sure as hell no TV show tie-ins. A simpler time when studios took a big risk on a comic book adaptation and occasionally hit it big. We start off our series today with the 2003 blockbuster, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Stay tuned.
You gotta kick it off with a killer to grab attention. Then you gotta take it up a notch.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us.
Who are you?
I'm Shiva, the god of death.
Cells. Interlinked.
It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad.
How many of these do you want to do? Because obviously we're doing
At least 4.
Okay.
I want to do this, Constantine,
And then the two
Blade
Blades.
1 and 2. I think I would like to do Van Helsing now after having done this.
Fuck it, let's go.
I don't even remember Van Helsing, but I know I rented it like I did this when it came out.
Yeah. I've never watched it from start to finish.
We could still do Spawn.
Sure.
I want to look at a list of others. I never watched the Ghost Rider movies.
That's what I did as I looked at a list.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I actually liked that Daredevil movie, even though I know it's like trash.
Oh, and there's an Electra movie that I never saw.
There's an Electra
too.
movie. Yeah, but that's actually that came out around the same time as Dark Knight.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Well, because Batman Begins came out 2 years after this.
Yeah.
And it's like right after Constantine.
Yeah.
Because like to me, the cutoff is after Constantine.
Okay, that's
like Batman Begins came out, I think that summer.
Gotcha. Did you know when Spider-Man 2 came out? 2004.
4? Okay, that makes sense.
Spider-Man 3 came out in 2008, and I know that because I had to have my appendix removed the day that it came out.
Wow.
Yeah. I was supposed to see it.
But like everybody talks about those movies.
No, I understand. Yeah, no, I understand. And like those aren't high on my list.
Well, Spider-Man 2 is the greatest superhero movie
I know,
maybe ever made.
Times. Yeah, you said that many times.
After Iron Man 3. Okay, Will.
Yes.
Well, first of all, welcome back to Debaser.
Yeah.
Will, I got to tell you,
Mhm.
this movie is largely regarded as a huge blunder.
Yes.
But now, after years of like the slop, as we refer to
slop, yes.
namely of the Marvel variety,
Yeah.
I actually think this movie is like hitting above par.
This movie actually fucking rules. Okay. So
I'm not saying it's amazing.
No, nobody's saying that.
But like, I didn't waste my time watching it.
No, it's a fun movie. Actually, it's really funny that you say that. And the whole reason why we watched this film is because I texted you. I was like, dude, what the fuck am I supposed to watch?
This is a very, it was like an audible, like it was a last minute, like game time decision kind of thing that we made. I don't even think it's been 24 hours since we discussed watching it.
And you were like, hey, just pick like one of your favorite comic book movies between 1995 and 2005. And so I went through a list and I saw it. I didn't even know that this like was considered one, but League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, I saw it on the list. And I was like, man, I loved seeing this movie come on FX. Actually, like I remember the first time I saw this film, I was at my cousin's house in Polk City, not Polk County, Polk City, in a trailer. He had like satellite TV. I think it was on HBO, if I'm not mistaken. And I watched all of it and I was like, this fucking rules. Cause I grew up watching 2000 Leagues Under the Sea.
Oh, okay.
And
were you like 14?
I was 13.
13. Okay.
Yeah, I was 13.
So you were the prime audience for this movie.
Yeah.
Like we were both, this movie was zero targeted at you and me at the time.
Yeah.
Like I literally was 13 when this movie came out. And I think you were too.
I was, yeah.
But perfect timing.
100%.
Like,
like it has everything, but like I've always loved the Nautilus. I don't know what it is about me. I'm not like a big Jules Verne guy, but I've loved the Nautilus. I love submarines, and like I really like to Journey to Atlantis, the Disney movie, you know, and anything submarine related has always like maybe I've got like the tism for submarines. Who knows? And so like having Captain Nemo and the Nautilus be in this film was like, this is so cool. And then like I started catching on like, oh, Tom Sawyer's in this, and they've got Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and there's the Invisible Man. I didn't know Alan Quarterman, and I didn't realize that Mina is Wilhelmina from
Will, I put that together like halfway through the movie.
Did you?
I was like, oh my God, I know her from Dracula. Holy shit. Yeah.
And and Dorian Gray. I didn't know who Dorian Gray was until later in high school, because I actually read Oscar Wilde, and I did my senior thesis in English class on the Portrait of Dorian Gray, which that book fucking rules, you know? So like this movie was so fucking weird, and I love it, man. I love this movie. So give me what you got, man.
Let's get into it. As you probably heard, we're discussing the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, or LXG, as I'm going to refer to it for the rest of the episode, because that's apparently what they did in the marketing.
Yeah.
The movie was released July 11th, 2003. It is available on VOD pretty much everywhere. And it's also constantly playing on FX still, I think, to this day.
Yeah.
The film stars Sean Connery, Nazir Odin Shah, Peta Wilson. Okay, hang on. Pause on Peta Wilson. That's the lady that plays Mina Harker.
Yeah, it's the one who plays Mina.
Her name is literally how Lois Griffin would call her husband. Peta Wilson.
Peta Wilson.
I just can't. I cracked up about that so hard when I typed this up earlier. I'm just sitting on the couch, like just with my baby, just like cracking up at picturing Lois Griffin saying Peta Wilson.
Peta.
Anyway,
that's awful.
Tony, I'm sorry, apologies to her. Tony Curran, Stuart Townsend, Shane West, Jason Fleming, and Richard Roxburgh. The premise of the film is, in an alternate Victorian world, a group of famous contemporary fantasy, science fiction, and adventure characters team up on a secret mission. Yeah, we'll get into that. The film was directed by Stephen Norrington.
Yes.
And when that popped up on the credits screen, I lost it.
Oh, did you flip at that point in time? Like,
because I know that name.
So it's really funny.
Director of one of my favorite movies.
Are you going to say it?
Yeah. We at this point in time, we haven't covered it yet, but it will be out soon.
It's coming.
We're doing an episode on Blade.
Yeah.
And Stephen Norrington directed
the first Blade.
4 movies.
Yeah. And
2 of them low budget. One of them this one. Yeah. The other one was Blade.
Yeah. So
and then after this, retired from directing.
And I'm sure you're going to get into it.
Oh yeah,
good, excellent.
That's all that people could talk about when this movie was coming out.
Really?
Too. Yeah, it was a big deal.
I wasn't like that locked in when it came to like press releases for.
I would see stuff like on the internet, like in message boards around this time.
Yeah,
but then like all the research now, even like in reviews and stuff, you can tell people are like, well, we've all heard all the juicy gossip about the behind the scenes drama on this movie.
That's funny. But yeah, it's so funny. I literally just watched Blade for the first time ever, all the way through. And
we got to save the conversation.
Oh yeah.
Please don't let me get into it.
Yeah, I'm not. But what I was going to get at is like when I saw his name popped up in the directed by the opening credits, I was like, why does that name look so familiar?
Yep.
I don't know why. And then
just fucking watched his other movie.
Yeah, I know. And I looked
one of 4 total.
I went on to IMDb and I was like, oh, that's really weird.
Yeah. Isn't that insane? I didn't even know the connection when you like pitched it.
I didn't either.
And we're covering his other movie like in 4 days.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Stephen Norrington is a special effects supervisor who aspired to be a director, and he wrote a really good screenplay, and then another director was like, hey, you should actually direct this movie. And then he directed a movie, I think it was called Death Machine. It's like a low budget horror movie that actually like really impressed a lot of people. And that's how he got to do Blade in 97, which we will talk about on a later episode. And then he did like a weird British crime movie in 2001 that nobody saw. I don't even remember the name of it. It was that forgettable. I don't even think it got wide release either. And then he got hired on to do this movie, The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. And then he had such a bad time, which we will get into more later, that he retired from directing and never directed another film. And I think he only worked on 2 or 3 other films after this, and he served as like a production supervisor or a special effects supervisor.
He did Death Machine, Blade, The Last Minute, and then this
The Last Minute is the British movie from 2001. I couldn't remember. Yeah.
He worked in the makeup department for Feast.
Yeah, was that the 2016 movie that he worked on?
It's 2005.
2005. Okay, yeah. There was a 2016 movie I think he like may have produced.
Harbinger Down.
Okay, yeah.
As a special effects guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he came back a couple of times to do small stuff that he used to do, but he has sworn off directing.
Minutes Past Midnight is visual effects.
Yeah. But League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is based, and we'll get into that, loosely on a comic book written by Alan Moore. However, the rights to the film were optioned, and the film went into pre-production before the first issue was even published.
Are you kidding me?
So they share very little outside of the general premise, really.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of the comics. They go on and on past this plot.
Have you read some of the synopsises?
The synopsis, yeah. I've never read the actual comics. I've read a lot of Alan Moore comics, but not these.
Yeah.
But I was reading the synopsis.
Wild.
No, it actually sounds like a good time.
Like,
and also,
holy
Captain
shit.
Nemo and Mina are like the main characters.
Yeah,
of the comics.
well, Mina's the one who puts the whole team together.
Yeah, exactly.
And like that's one of, it wasn't Alan Moore's criticism of the film. It was the guy who does
artist.
the art, the
Yeah,
artist. Alan McNeil, I think is his name,
That sounds right.
or O'Neill.
But I read that he was pretty vocally outspoken against this movie too.
Yeah, he hated it because he said that they marginalized Mina to she's the girl of the team. You know,
Sean Connery's very misogynist to her.
Super misogynist to her, which was really funny because like Haley was watching it like kind of loosely as we were watching it. She's like, good old Sean Connery, like punching women, or not. He doesn't punch a woman, but you know what I mean. Like
just, being insulting to her.
Yeah.
The only thing is like she gets to like make fun of his accent later in the movie, and apparently in real life she was so terrified to do it.
Kevin O'Neill.
There it
is.
All right. But yeah, Alan Moore, this was one of the first, I think, Hollywood adaptations of his works.
Yeah.
And he was so offended by it that he was like, don't put my name in it.
Yep.
Don't ever talk to me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't put my name on any of your movies again. And so he's not technically credited on like Befriended or Watchmen because of that. He's just like, I don't want nothing to do with y'all. Fuck y'all.
That's so funny.
He's a crotchety old man, though.
Yeah,
He's such a funny dude.
It's true.
He's written a lot of really good comic books, though.
Mm-hmm.
This movie had a budget of, do you know?
Now, I don't know. I can't remember what the budget was, but I
Okay.
know that it made like 174 million.
Wow, it's so close. It's 179.
Fuck,
yeah,
I was
but you
so-
probably saw it. Yeah,
I literally last night. Yeah.
but its budget was 78 million,
Wow.
which was astronomical at the time.
Oh yeah, I know. And it was all the Nautilus. It was all the Nautilus and
all the CGI
the
stuff.
Jekyll.
There's a lot of
Hyde.
sets too.
Yeah.
And how much of that do you think went into Sean Connery's pocket?
It was I want to say it was 60. No, it was either 63 million or was 17 million.
17.
There it is.
It's 17 million.
Yeah, I know. It
of
was
that. It was so much that they had to cheap out on the other stars.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
I
you
read
saw
that.
this too? Yeah.
It's fucking crazy.
I both read that and heard it on a different podcast because
Okay.
it's like that's why everyone else in this movie is kind of a nobody, is because Sean Connery demanded so much that they were like,
Yeah.
fine.
I do want to, like, I don't know what you've got in your script, but I do want to touch upon everybody's depiction of their historical literary character.
When they come up, I list what they're from, and we can get into it more there. Yeah.
Because Stuart Townsend kills it as Dorian Gray.
Okay, let's wait till we get to it
Okay,
because
okay,
I
okay,
gotta
okay.
know. Okay. So in the critical response of the film, it has a disgustingly low 16% on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's so bad.
It was widely hated at the time. In his review of LXG, film critic for Variety, Tom McCarthy panned the film, writing, "It offers some appealing elements, exceptionally beautiful design, atypical characters, literacy, and an intriguing intellectual basis that are ultimately engulfed by explosions, effects, and an affiliated ponderousness." Roger Ebert gave the film 1 out of 4 stars, saying, "Just when it seems about to become a real corker of an adventure movie, the movie plunges into incomprehensible action, idiotic dialogue, inexplicable motivations, causes without effects, effects without causes, and general lunacy."
I think he's right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Over on Letterboxd, Karen Hahn gave the film 4 stars, writing, "This movie fucking slaps, and that's on that." Shout out to Karen Hahn. We love her.
Honestly, she's absolutely right.
She also reviewed the film for Polygon like just a couple years ago.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. And she wrote a book about Bong Joon-ho that I own. It's an excellent book.
Nice.
We love her.
That's really cool. I'm curious because you were saying like when you were watching this film, you're like, based on like the shit that we've seen these days, this movie's actually like doing the shit.
It's got heart.
Yeah, it does have
It's
heart.
doing stuff.
It is.
Yeah. It's not It relies a little too much on CGI and like blockbuster reaction.
Yeah.
But like it's doing stuff.
It is doing stuff.
But let's get into the stuff
great
it's
design,
doing.
yeah.
Okay. So first of all, this movie opens with a completely useless paragraph. Ready? I have it verbatim.
Oh God. All right, let's hear it.
I typed it up as it appeared. 1899. The great nations of Europe share an uneasy peace. For hundreds of years, wars have been fought with the same weapons, single-shot rifles, cavalry, and horse-drawn cannon. But this old century is soon to end. A new age dawns. What does that have to do with anything?
Machine guns. I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, that's apparent enough that you just say the year is 1899, and then when you have guys show up with like armor and machine guns, we get it. Like
We
it's
understand.
1899.
Well-
Like the British police officers don't know what a tank is, and they try to stop it with their hands.
And that one guy gets crushed. That's right. I forgot about that. It's so good. I was going to counterpoint, Jared, and say, well, this was zeroed in on me and you at 13.
Yeah.
Don't you think that actually fucking rules? Just kidding.
It just felt completely
It's stupid.
superfluous.
Yeah.
Anyway, we see a masked man known only as the Phantom.
Phantom. Yeah.
I think there's like an allusion to Phantom,
Phantom
of the Opera.
there.
there.
100%, that's exactly what it
because he's
is.
like scarred under the
Yeah.
thing. Anyway, he and his armed henchmen roll down a British street in a German tank and rob the Bank of England. Then this
For blueprints.
Well, you notice they're taking gold, but then he's also taking some Leonardo da Vinci hand-drawn blueprints of this.
It's his henchmen are like, oh, look at all the riches. And he's like,
Yeah.
I'm only here for one thing.
Some things are worth more than gold or some shit.
Yeah.
There's so many quips in this movie.
Oh, 100%.
I wonder how many people did punch up on this screenplay. Then the same group storms a German Zeppelin facility and kidnaps scientists while destroying the Zeppelins.
He shoots a rocket with a string
Okay.
on it.
I thought it was a harpoon
I thought it was
because
a
it
harpoon,
clearly
too.
had like an attached rope coil,
Yeah.
and then it just disappears, and it
Yeah.
was just an explosion.
Yeah.
There are so many things like that in this movie where I'm like, oh, this scene was something else at first, and then it got
100%.
recut.
Yeah.
Especially, I'm jumping ahead, but when they are chasing Mr. Hyde through the city to capture him,
Yes.
there's so much ADR,
Mhm.
and I'm like, oh, this was an entirely different scene.
Yeah.
There's so much recut
They
here.
resolve it almost immediately, like
Yeah.
without any of the other
And
characters.
like all the dialogue that happens is completely like off screen. I'm just like, oh, like this was a whole sequence that like probably had nothing to do with what we see here.
guys, we're going over budget. We gotta stop.
Dude,
You know?
apparently that it was a huge problem. And Stephen Norrington was like super stressed out, couldn't handle it, was like really focusing on things that didn't matter. Well, according to other people,
Right.
like would hyper focus on things that didn't matter
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff.
and like apparently, what was it? Sean Connery said that he like
They would fight constantly.
couldn't be on set with a bunch of people.
Yeah, I think he was having trouble dealing with the huge amount of like, not the set, but like, you know, you're basically
The production, yeah.
a production manager at that point when you're managing a set with that many people on this
Mhm.
big of a budget movie. And that's why people like, some people are cut out for it, like Christopher Nolan, you know, he can commandeer such a big set, and Steven Spielberg and such.
Right.
But then other people are like, I'm pontificating here, but let me finish my thought.
No, that's fine.
Like the Russo brothers, okay.
Sure.
These
yeah.
are guys who can commandeer a huge major blockbuster and can like organize a set with like hundreds of people working and like all the CGI post-production that happens afterwards.
Mhm.
But can they make a good movie and the end product? The answer is a resounding no lately.
Yeah, it's more misses than hits now,
Yeah, absolutely.
which is such a bummer because like
But they've
Dude.
just become project managers at this
Yeah.
point. They just know how to manage their people, all the people beneath them working on set, but they
Yeah.
can't make a decent art, piece of art at the end of it.
yeah, but
They're just there
Captain America
to
Civil War was so good, and so
Yeah,
were
but
the
that
Endgame
was-
movies.
back when they were struggling and they were trying to prove themselves. When they did the paintball episode of Community,
Oh, do you?
they were trying to make art. They weren't just project managers. You know what I
okay.
mean?
I
They weren't
understand
just
where you're
saying
getting
like, well, we've got this actor for this day and when we got this guy for this day, so we got to shoot this scene and then this scene. No,
Yeah.
they were just like, hey man, like we got a great script. We're going to shoot it as best we can. Let's shoot the hell out of this thing.
That's wild. I didn't know they did the paintball episode of Community.
That's how they got famous.
That's crazy. I love.
They
that episode.
did some of the best episodes of Community.
The episode's so good.
Yeah. Anyway, I digress. all right, so he blows up the Zeppelins,
Yeah,
and then
with a silly
there's
rocket
like
on a string.
we get the funniest like newspaper spins.
Yeah, the first one is like
I can't believe they were doing this as recently as 2003 because this feels like a 50s like newsreel kind of thing or 40s newsreel
but
thing.
it's supposed to be. It's 1899, dude.
I know, but it's like a Batman serial thing where it's like, oh, the British, accuse Germany of this, and the Germany says it's not us. It's so comical.
You don't think that that's not like
no,
kind of charming?
No, because the rest of the movie doesn't really lean into that sort of thing. It doesn't feel on brand with it.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
I see what you're getting at.
The movie isn't like doing winks and nods at other stuff like that. It's more just literary references, Anyway, then we jump to Kenya, which is a British colony at the time.
Yes,
but they go. So this British emissary arrives at this like big hunting lodge, and there's like a Union Jack in front of it, and then there's just a bunch of old British like hunting style guys.
Yeah, like 20 of them.
Yeah. And he's like, "I'm here to see Quatermain," and there's this guy, and it's like, "Yeah, that's me." He's our protagonist. Well, it turns out it's actually Sean Connery sitting behind him. And he's like, I just used that guy to tell stories. His character, Alan Quatermain. Do you know where he's from?
So
I had to look it up.
Because he is the only character that I'm not familiar with because he is a British folk hero. Right. Or British literary character.
Not a novel I was familiar with.
Exactly. So Alan Quatermain is a man who, I guess, left British society because he found them to be too stuffy or what have you.
Well, does that happen in the story, or is that what's happened to him post that story and into this movie?
I want to say...
Because Mina Harker isn't a vampire in fucking Dracula.
No. So this is like they... this is Alan at the end of his life. This is Alan at the end of all of his books.
Well,
because they reference a ton of stuff that happened in the books.
Right.
Like his two dead wives, his dead son.
Well, let me preface for the listener.
Yeah.
He is the protagonist of the novel King Solomon's Mines.
Yeah.
Which, to give you like a modern pop culture reference, he was the basis for Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Indiana Jones was basically like doing an American spin on him. And James Bond.
Yes.
But mostly this guy, because he was like an early 20th century or late 19th century adventurer.
1820.
Oh, okay. So 19th century. Yeah. But like adventurer who would like raid ancient tombs and like exotic locales. But like at the time, it was just anywhere that wasn't the UK,
Well, and also, like I know he's kind of like white savory, but the author apparently did have issues with British colonialism when he wrote those. And
so that is why it's not just a modern inflection in the movie.
This was he was supposedly using his platform to critique British colonialism.
Interesting, because that's when he's when the emissary is like, would you do it for your country? And
sorry,
he's like,
1885 is when these books came out.
That makes sense because the movie's only set like 15 years later.
Yeah.
And I think all of the books that these characters are from mostly take place around the same time.
Yeah.
But anyway, when the emissary is like, would you do it for your country? And he's like, well, what's my country going to do for me? Kind of thing, you know what I mean? Which is pretty much like, he's looking out for number one, But anyway, he is reluctant to agree to it. Sean Connery, by the way, if I hadn't mentioned that yet, I'm sorry. And then they get attacked by the Phantom's henchmen who just happen to be there. Sean Connery fights them all off in a very dramatic and deadly battle. Like, I think almost everybody else in that building gets killed.
Yeah, all the other old men get killed.
All the old men, even some of the bartenders, I think all get killed. But Sean Connery kills them to the last man
because he's the dude, and he's the guy.
He even has that great scene where he snipes the very last guy running away, but he has to use his glasses because he's getting old.
He impales a dude on a rhinoceros.
horn. Rhinoceros horn. Yeah. This fight scene too. There were so many sequences where I was just like, "Oh, this is so clearly editing to get around not being rated R. They want this to be rated PG-13 so bad."
Yeah.
And it sometimes the action and choreography was so cheesy. It reminded me of Batman and Robin, but it's better than that. I should give it more credit than that. When he's shooting those guys, the henchmen, the Phantom's henchmen, they're covered in armor.
Yes.
But most of them go down with one shot and we hear a cling. So what's being implied there? are they dying or are they being knocked out by like the bullet hitting their armor and knocking them down? Because I think that was a way for them to get around the rating.
There's only there's only 3 guys that show up to fuck with Alan Quartermain.
It's only 3? It felt more than that.
There's only 3.
Okay.
He's
but
dealing
like
with all 3 of
in
them.
later sequences when they have shootouts, there's a lot of shootouts in this movie with those guys. You hear lots of clinging.
Yeah.
But like if they're giving them a killing shot, there wouldn't be a cling. It wouldn't hit the armor.
That is probably to get around like sensors and shit.
So many of the, like 95% of the deaths are bloodless.
Oh, I mean, all
so
of them are.
Is it a way for them to get around the sensor being like, well, they're not killing those guys. They're just knocking them out by hitting their armor with a bullet.
No, they're dying.
I know.
Yeah.
In real life, I think the body count for this movie is like 66, somebody said.
Oh, I've never counted. Wow, that's a lot.
But it was just a trivia fact that I saw. But it's like, yeah, a lot of people get shot to death in this movie. Mm-hmm. But it's not overt.
Yeah, no, it's definitely
and you hear, like I'm saying, you like a lot of those guys that are covered in armor, you hear it cling and they go down, and there's no blood or anything.
Yeah,
I think the movie. I think they did it ambiguously so that they can tell the censor. No, they're just getting knocked out.
Sure, for bullets, but like there is a part where Captain Nemo absolutely snaps a guy's neck.
No, 1,000%. Yeah, people
like,
are getting
another guy gets like stabbed and shit.
Yeah, crushed, and it's bad. Yeah. Anyway, I shouldn't jump ahead there.
You're good, dude.
Hold on. Blah, 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 blah.
I do like, while you're looking, I do like the long shot. Like, you know, it sets up so much for Alan Quartermain's character. You can tell he's confident. You can tell he's seasoned. He's a great shot. And that's
the extent of his powers, though.
Right. And also it circles like it's like poetry. It rhymes with the end of the movie.
With Tom Sawyer.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. I do. Well, that's why I wanted to call attention to that scene where he snipes the guy.
Gotcha.
Because he makes such a point of it.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
Okay, George Lucas, calm down. But anyway, the British emissary is there to recruit him to fight the Phantom.
Yes.
Like I said, and he's like, initially he says no, but after he gets attacked, he's like, all right, I'll join.
Fuck it, my hunting lodge has been destroyed.
Yeah. So he agrees to travel to England and meet the other people he's putting together.
Mm-hmm.
Quartermain arrives in England and is introduced to the organizer, known only as M, who explains that the Phantom is seeking to profit off of a world war, and to prevent this, M is organizing a group that he calls the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. We are then introduced to the other members. Number 1, Captain Nemo.
Yes.
The sea captain of 20,000 Leagues. I always get the number mixed up.
20,000
He's the sea captain protagonist from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
In the comic books, he's Prince Dakar.
Oh, no shit.
Or Captain Nemo.
Okay.
He's got what do you call this, a pseudonym?
Yeah, pseudonym's one.
Yeah.
But and then also Mina Harker, who if you've seen Bram Stoker's Dracula, also if you saw Nosferatu, it's basically the Lily Rose Depp character. Yeah. Just very little difference, honestly, between the two of them.
Yeah. But for reference, it's what's her name from Bram Stoker's? What is that actress's name?
I can't remember.
Winona Ryder.
Is it Winona?
It's Winona Ryder.
Damn, I should have known that. Okay. I know who Winona Ryder is. I just didn't know that was her. My bad. Anyway, so I guess Jonathan Harker, the Keanu Reeves character from the 90s movie, has passed.
They separated.
And so it's just Mina now.
Yeah.
Who, like, Sean Connery's character, Quartermain, has like some misogynist things to say about this. Which
it's Sean Connery, baby.
Great, yeah. And then Rodney Skinner, who is the only person who's not actually a literary character in this movie. So he is a thief that stole the invisibility potions from the original Invisible Man.
That's right.
And they had to do this apparently because the Invisible Man was like a licensed character
that could not get the rights.
Right. All of these others are in public domain because they're so old, but I guess the Invisible Man somehow copyright got retained.
I want to say it was Fox. No, because this is 20th Century Fox. It was.
Yeah, Fox made
was
this.
Was it Universal? Yeah. Maybe Universal owned.
Oh, that would make sense because
they own the Invisible Man.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yep. But anyway, so how they get around this is he's just some guy thief who happened to steal the invisibility potions.
Gentleman thief.
But he's invisible. And when they introduce him and he's invisible and slowly like puts on the jacket makeup. And then puts on the white makeup.
Yeah.
It's pretty good.
That's fucking cool.
Especially for 2003.
For 2003? Yeah.
And then, but you can tell they blew their whole load for that scene.
Yep.
Because there's so many later instances where he's just
awful.
In different, like, when he's in the car
Yeah, it's
he
just
kind of
him.
goes back and forth of having a little bit of white paint on his face.
Yeah,
But then other times it's just his whole ass head covered in white.
white paint. Yes,
And then for the rest of the movie, it's just his whole ass head or nothing.
or not. Yeah, nothing.
Like-
And like some of the sequences,
Although during the snow, you see a little bit of snow sitting on his
on
shoulders.
yeah, and
But
like,
they don't like call attention to it a lot more than just like a little bit here and there after that.
I love that scene where he's like, I would really like to get under, like, out of the snow because I can't feel anything in my nether regions. And for some reason, the actress from Peter looks down like to see if snow's on his dick. It's so funny. I think he gets burned at one point, and the him running away looks
I thought he was
awful.
going to die. Yeah.
I thought he was going to retain his burn scars.
Yeah. He doesn't even have those later.
No,
yeah.
he doesn't. Silly.
And the other invisible guy gets covered in ashes at one point, but it's only for like a split
For a
second.
minute, yeah.
Anyway, invisible guy. I think that's the last one that he meets in there. Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Because they talk about recruiting a couple other people, like some
Right.
people with no shows or whatever.
So Quartermain proposes recruiting Dorian Gray, who he knows, and he is the protagonist of The Portrait of Dorian Gray,
Yes.
as we mentioned earlier. Dorian Gray, for those of you who don't know, is a Victorian man that is immortal and invulnerable, save for his portrait. So anything that is done to his physical body
It's done to the portrait
doesn't
instead.
harm him. It actually applies to the portrait.
And anything that he does that sullies his soul also goes onto the portrait. Did you ever read the book?
A long time ago.
Oh, man.
And I know at the end, spoilers
Yeah.
for a 100-plus-year-old book, it's revealed that if he goes to stab the portrait and he actually stabs himself and dies,
Yes.
because the portrait is his weakness.
Yes.
It's his kryptonite, so to speak, in modern parlance.
I love that book.
Yeah, no, I love it. And it's like part of the reason why I love the name Dorian.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah. I think it's a beautiful name.
It's a really good name.
Why I got so excited and knocked the recorder over and had to start over is because I wanted to talk about how cool I think it is that they hired, what do you have the actor's name?
Stuart Townsend.
Stuart Townsend.
Yes.
He's playing an excellent version of like a dandy twink
Yes.
as Dorian Gray.
Yes.
Like think of Prince,
Okay, yeah.
the musician.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. No.
I hope most people know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You kind of had a blank expression for a second.
No, but
It
I had
scared
to
me,
put two and two together. Like, oh yeah, I guess.
but like a
Prince
small,
would be like a modern.
effeminate, beautiful man.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what he's
Confident,
doing. And
arrogant.
do you know Prince?
Yeah, no, I know. No, I'm just talking about like Dorian in general. Like the character oozes arrogance, confidence.
Yeah.
God damn it, dude.
Suave.
Exactly. He's doing such a good job, and like he knows that he's handsome. He knows that he's the shit.
Yeah.
You know, he knows that you can like, how do you say, exist with these other characters and be devious with a smile, and nobody would catch on because like the common thing in media is like if the person is attractive, then it is less likely that they are villainous, especially if you're going on like Zack Snyder like rules, you know. So
that's true.
But if you've read the books, if you knew about this character, you would know like this guy is not a good person.
Right. He's not pure of heart or anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like his heel turn is pretty easy to catch if you've like done.
Well, he's also doing very suspicious things to like most of the crew. Yeah.
Is he?
Yeah. And when he swipes or like cuts the Invisible Man.
Yeah, but like,
and then he very weirdly like gets blood from Mina.
Yeah, because he's trying to turn her on.
It's such a weird scene.
I understand. No,
because like when you add them all up, you're like, wait, he was doing a bunch of weird stuff. It really makes you go like, oh, it was right in front of us.
Yeah, exactly. But
there's
like,
another reveal I don't want to talk about yet. That is like they allude to it a bunch if you're paying attention, which is really funny. We'll talk about it later because I don't want to spoil it in case people are listening and like want to go along with the story.
I do eventually want to talk about that weird scene with Mina because like that scene is weird like outside of what's happening there. It's fucking bizarre.
Yeah.
But yeah, Dorian Gray fucking rules. Stuart Townsend kicks ass.
Great casting. It's fun. Yeah. So yeah, they meet up with Dorian Gray, right? Is that where they get attacked?
Yeah, they get ambushed.
Completely lost my place.
And Tom Sawyer shows up too.
So that's when Tom Sawyer shows up, and he's like in disguise as one of the Phantom's men because they get ambushed, and Tom Sawyer, we realize has been following them, for a little bit now, but he is disguised as one of the Phantom's men, and then he ends up helping them fight off the attackers. Yeah, they're assisted by, he introduces himself to the crew as Secret Service agent Tom Sawyer.
Yes.
And he's the only American of the group.
Mm-hmm.
And he is I think,
youngest.
the only character that is not in the comic book. Because he's an invention of the studio who was like, we need an audience surrogate for Americans because they're not going to know who these people
right.
are.
No, that's right. That's right. Which was really funny because like,
and that's why it feels like such a far field. Because like Tom Sawyer, what? He's not like, he doesn't have. He's a vagrant. He doesn't do any of that shit.
He's a vagrant that got picked up by the Secret Service. Well, it's funny is because like I guess
in his book he gets picked up by a rich person. He's like, this sucks. I'm going to go back on the street.
That's funny. I didn't know that's how it ended.
By the way, there's a deleted scene where he explains that he was also going to bring Huck Finn, but he gets killed on the way there by Phantom's men.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
That's tight. The director, though, like, apparently has a quote about it. He's like, this was the fucking, like, I initially thought this was the dumbest thing that, like, some stupid studio overreach. And then on reflection, he was like, no, this is actually like a brilliant idea.
I know. I actually think it works. And I think Shane West, I think is his name, is actually doing a pretty good job here because I actually found him really charming.
He's got, exactly. He's got like a lot of energy. He's young. He's earnest. He wants to do good.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to take risks. He's very American. Like that's the difference between Alan Quatermain's seasoned British person and Sawyer's young American
he's like
go-getter.
A zippy upstart who wants to impress everybody. He's giving me like Billy Zane vibes. Do you remember him?
Yeah, I know Billy Zane.
This guy really reminds me of Billy Zane. He's got really pretty eyes and like a good head of hair. You know? Have you looked up what Shane West looks like now? He doesn't look anything like this.
Awful.
Is he wearing a wig or something in this?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Maybe that's just what his hair looked like when he was younger.
It's been almost 30 years.
Oh yeah, this movie's I can't believe how old this movie is.
It's been 22 years. Goddamn.
I remember it coming out and it was like the biggest deal too. Like all the kids at school were like, "Oh man, that movie looks great."
Yeah. But also, there's another excellent scene in this. A bit where Dorian Gray's just like walking around, not giving a shit where bullets are coming,
completely shot up.
Yeah, some guy like shows up in front of him and just guns the fuck out of him, ruins his suit, and then like he just like does a Zorro move, cuts off his armor, and then stabs him.
Yeah.
And as the guy falls down, he like rips his shirt off, and you see all the bullets like falling out, and like, oh, this is an explanation of how his powers work. It's very and the guards, I got to get the quips in there, but the guard goes, "What are you?" And he goes, "I'm complicated." Yeah. So good.
Listen, it's not an episode of Debaser if I'm not quoting the fucking movie.
Yeah, that's true.
They also go on to recruit now that they've got Tom Sawyer and Dorian Gray in the crew, they go on to capture Mr. Hyde, a Hulk-like monstrous figure who is the alter ego of mild-mannered Dr. Jekyll, the eponymous figure of the novel The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. One of the 3 books that these characters from that I actually knew what it was at the time I saw this movie.
Did you read? I knew what it was.
I don't think I had read that by 2003.
Gotcha. Because I knew about these characters through other media, especially like, did you ever read not read?
I didn't know who Mina Harker was when I first saw this either.
Me either.
Because I saw Dracula way late in life.
Yeah, same. Did you ever see The Page Master?
No.
It had Macaulay Culkin in it, and he like becomes animated, and it's all about different like books.
No.
And they have a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde reference in that, and so that's how I knew who the character was.
See, I knew a lot of classic lit through like Wishbone and stuff too.
Gotcha. We should do The Page Master. That movie fucking rules.
Okay. The group arranges a deal. So they capture Mr. Hyde.
Yeah.
While chasing him through the streets.
What a weird way too. Like the Nautilus, like pinpoint.
They just have like a net gun and it just like yanks him all the way back to the ship.
Yeah.
Listen, there's a lot going on in that scene.
You were
that
pointing
scene
out.
was, you can tell that scene got recut to hell.
Yeah.
Something weird was happening in that scene and they just like slashed it up to be a montage. It's weird. But anyway, they pull him on board and like get him to calm down and like make an arrangement where they're like, hey, we're going to give you amnesty for all your crimes in exchange for your cooperation to help us take down the Phantom. And he's like, all right. And then he just like Mr. Hydes himself, like Hulk turning back into Bruce Banner for like modern parlance.
But way different. Like, what did you think about?
He's like thrashing and stuff as he does it. Yeah.
He's like all practical effect. Like he's all practical.
Is it?
I think
it's
is
something.
I know his arms are like, those.
I do think
practical.
There was a physical thing.
Yeah.
For them to act with and look at that was on set. But how much of that was special effects like superimposed over it too, you know?
Let me look. He feels
Yeah, I'm
practical,
curious to
though.
know what that looked like on set. If you could
do
can you
that
pull
right
up that picture for us on there?
I'm on it.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Jamie doesn't talk, does he?
I have no idea.
I'm on it.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Jamie doesn't talk, does he?
I have no idea. I'm going to tell you right now. I've never listened to a single episode of Joe Rogan. I just know that through osmosis. In fact, this cooking YouTuber that I really like, Internet Shaquille, shout out to him, he rules.
Yeah.
Made an episode about how you need to eat vegetables, and he's like targeting it at Joe Rogan listeners and like making fun of Joe Rogan the whole time, and he does that joke.
I want to point out how amazing Google AI is.
Oh no!
In The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen,
We're not a pro AI.
Dr. Jekyll, played by Sean Connery, is portrayed as a tall, handsome, and reclusive scientist who is also a member of the League of a team of Victorian superheroes.
None of that is right.
I love
I
it.
love you.
I love
Thanks,
it.
Google AI. We love it. Anyway, The League travels to Venice via Nemo's enormous submarine. And they somehow squeeze that thing into the canals of Venice. I'm not even going to go there. It's
bullshit.
very stupid.
It's bullshit.
Yeah.
There's no way.
But they managed to prevent the Phantom from destroying the city after a protracted action sequence that includes a car chase, gun battles, and sword fights. I skipped over this, but we learned that Mina Harker is a vampire. Because during this fight, she turns into a swarm of bats. That car that Nemo has is pretty cool, but like very impractical. I don't know. I guess you can say that for a lot of like
That car is cool as fuck, and I don't
late
care.
19th
who
century
knows it.
technology.
It's got
all
fucking like
steampunky and weird.
12 wheels, and it's like
so weird.
porcelain white. Oh
And
my
when
god!
it flips,
it's so
I'm
cool.
like, the physics on this are not mathing.
yeah. Jared, at least his face was practical. I'm getting.
Is he
through
on
this.
stilts?
He's on stilts.
On
He's
set,
wearing
then?
a bodysuit, and then
Okay.
it's connected to his arms. It has to be.
So they then they probably superimposed special effects to clean up
100%.
around his like suit.
Yeah.
Then right.
The other
Yeah.
Jekyll monster that they fight at the end is 100% CGI.
No,
and that's
you
how
can tell it looks
there's
worse.
two different
Yeah, for
things
sure,
going
for
on.
sure. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That I can see that now.
I think
yeah.
it's so cool that they like went practical with this
Yeah.
instead of being a big CGI monster like the Hulk.
Yeah. I think you're talking about Ang Lee's or
Both of them,
because
the
Ang
other
Lee
one-
did a pretty admirable job for the time,
the
which
other
was
Hulk-
not that much longer after this, right? Hold on, when was that Hulk?
No, the Ang Lee Hulk came out before this,
Oh fuck!
and then
Because at the time it was like really good.
yeah, and then the Steve Norton was in 2005.
Ed Norton.
Ed Norton, sorry,
Yeah.
Ed Norton one.
Damn, that was 2005.
It was 2005.
Oh my god!
I know.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And this is practical. Like this movie does
When did
have
Iron
some,
Man come out?
2 years later, 2007. I want to say.
I thought Iron Man was the first one.
No, the Hulk was the first one.
No.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
they just don't talk about it because of Ed Norton, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And it was like bad. Look, here he is wearing the suit.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. For the listener at home, it's already
It's
gone
right
off
past
screen.
here. You want me to
But
pull
it
that?
is like
It's a whole ass
what,
suit.
80,
dude.
90% of what you see in the movie?
Yeah, it's a whole fucking suit.
Oh
And
my
then-
god, it
and
really
then
is.
The arms are on those metal things where you can like
Like an extender kind of thing.
And you can see he can kind of flex the fingers.
Yeah.
But not really. And he can't really grip on anything either. There are instances
Yeah.
where
There's like a
is-
scene where he's holding up a door.
Yeah.
So
And-
like a lot of that's probably CGI or it's like glued to his hands.
It's glued to his hands. They had
Yeah, okay, yeah,
because
yeah.
the arms are detachable.
Yeah. That's really cool, man.
Yeah, I thought that was really neat.
No wonder he that part really holds up.
Yeah, it
And
does.
when he de-transforms,
they do it in like flashes.
they like do quick cuts to make it look like he's like it's like in a werewolf transformation where it's like
Yeah.
different parts are coming off and stuff. Yeah. Oh man. Good job. They did a good job on that.
They did do a good job on that.
Anyway, we're glazing this movie.
Doing tricks on it.
Fuck, I lost my place again. God damn it. I'm
we were
so
like,
bad
oh
about
yeah, by the
this.
way, Mina's a fucking vampire because she turns into some fucking bats.
Well,
during
they
this fight.
managed to prevent Venice from getting blown up. It's really weird and protracted how they blow up one building to stop them all from falling like dominoes. This is some dumb bullshit. It's really stupid, this part.
Yeah.
And it's during not Mardi Gras. What do they do in Venice?
It's like a mask thing. It's not Mardi Gras, but
you
it's
do
like,
it in Assassin's Creed 2.
Yeah, you do it in Assassin's Creed 2. You're absolutely right, actually. When
That's how I know about Italy. Come on. Assassin's Creed 2. That's my
That's my reference.
That's my
as well.
basis. Yeah,
exactly. No, when that scene came out, I was like, oh wait, I did this.
Carnival. That's it.
Carnival.
Carnival.
Yeah, there it is.
It's what because there's. Listen, that's what
That's what you.
New
that's what you
Orleans
do.
culture is from Orleans. All right, I know that.
Jesus. This is not one of our best episodes, is it, Jared?
No, come on, this is the top 10, man. 5 stars, man. Rate this shit. I lost my fucking place. I can't find it.
They stopped this stuff from happening in Venice. But
Okay,
you find
right,
out that Dorian is a bad person.
Hold on.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
This is important.
Okay.
So they prevent the destruction of Venice.
Yes.
Then Quartermain goes after M. He splits from the party and goes after M. I'm sorry, the Phantom that he learns is M.
Yeah.
Damn it, I revealed it too early. Fuck.
Oh, no.
And then, so he's like, oh no, you're the guy that recruited us. Oh, fuck. And then Dorian Gray reveals himself to be a double agent for M because he goes back to the Nautilus and kills Nemo's lieutenant.
Yeah, Ishmael.
Ishmael, which
is a Moby Dick reference.
I thought it was just like a little, like, another literary joke, but like, are they literally saying the guy from Moby Dick is also on Nemo's crew? Like,
Why do you think the Nautilus is white?
I thought it was like steel, silver.
No.
It's white?
It's white. It's porcelain
It's
white.
white?
It's white? Yeah, it's Moby
Let me get
Dick.
your best. It's white?
It's white?
How does he say it?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Wait, have you not seen Elvis?
Which one?
The one with Austin Butler.
Oh, homie, I was not paying attention.
That's how Tom does it.
I was raiding a raid in World of Warcraft. I'm not even kidding you.
Oh my god. Okay.
Oh no.
Forrest
no.
Gump.
We don't need to.
Tom Hanks
Yes.
plays the general, his
the
manager.
band manager, yeah.
And he hears Elvis for the first time on the radio, and
Oh, that's right, he
all the
thinks he's
white
black,
people are
yeah.
freaking out because they're like, and he's a white boy. And then so the general has like a very protracted like Southern accent.
Yeah.
Goes, he's white.
It's white? Oh my god. That was super necessary.
5-star episodes, baby. We have to.
What was I going to say? Oh, so funny thing that you should say that Ishmael is a character in the
Moby Dick
graphic novels for League of
Oh,
Extraordinary
okay.
Gentlemen.
So it's not just a ham-fisted.
It's not
like,
just a ham-fisted reference.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But the first line that he delivers, which is "Call me Ishmael," is I think a ham-fisted reference to Moby Dick.
Yeah. Anyway, but Dorian Gray reveals that he is also betraying them.
Oh no.
And then they like listen to a record that's like the villain revealing his plan to them,
Which
and
is awesome. Because
also it's setting off Dr. Jekyll to turn into Mr. Hyde uncontrollably.
Yes.
And then also he's like, and also I just left a bunch of bombs on the ship. Fuck you. No one noticed them somehow. They're just laying there conspicuously in the hallways.
Dorian says "Bon voyage."
Yeah, he does.
Like,
he does.
dude, I
okay,
love-
that's right. Thank you for remembering that clip.
God, I love all the shit that he fucking says in that record.
Listen, the one that he says to Mina way later is so atrocious, and we're gonna have to say it.
Oh yeah, that was so bad. But he like there's a James Moriarty is like, I played all you guys. with
Oh, you
my-"
just gave away who he is.
Oh,
it doesn't get revealed till the very end. Yeah.
Oh my bad.
Sean Connery, like when he attacks him at the end, he's like, "Oh, if you're Moriarty, Sherlock Holmes is arch nemesis."
Oh, whoops.
It's fine.
It's fine.
Fucking cares.
Who cares? It's a
No one listening to
2003
this is like
movie. Yeah.
invested in the plot of this movie.
No, but yeah, like there's a part where he's like, and I got Dorian to do it, and he goes growl or some shit, dude.
Yeah,
He's
he
so
does. No, he goes like, "I'm going to sick my dogs after you," and then he goes growl.
so
Listen,
good.
We need.
I need this
more
man in Stuart
twinks
Townsend.
in our movie.
Yes,
More evil twinks, please.
God damn it! I fucking love him in this film.
So
he is the
good.
best part of this goddamn movie. Like I came for Nemo, but I'm staying for Dorian. He's
Him and
best.
the guy that plays Mr. Hyde, like,
are killing it.
doing a way too good of a job for this movie.
Yeah, I know for being nobodies.
And they're probably being like, well, Sean Connery's making $17 million. I'm going to make a name for myself in this fucking movie, damn it. You know, so like,
So
kudos,
sad.
you know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Although I do like
Glaze.
I do have one hang up with Dr. Jekyll, and that's like they almost make him like a cuck.
Yeah. And there are scenes where
It's fucking weird.
There's some scenes where I had to groan. The earlier scenes, especially with him.
ones?
But like, there's one where he tells off Sean Connery. And I just remember rolling my fucking eyes, and he storms off and walks down a hallway.
Yeah.
And then even the way that he like congratulates himself when he flips the ship back over after the bombs go off.
Yeah.
It was just like, that's a little cheesy. They couldn't take that again. It's just in the reflection, but it's still it's okay. Yeah. Oh yeah, the bombs go off. The ship is like overturning, but Dr. Jekyll allows himself to turn into Mr. Hyde to prevent the ship from like turning over and like saves a bunch of the crew from drowning too.
Opening up the vents so that the
water pours out of the hole, I guess. Yeah.
Which is such once again, another really weird, a weird turn for that character, because like Hyde up to this point has been like very antagonistic to Jekyll. And at this point, he's like, wait, we can save these people. We can be heroic. Hyde is the monster, is the one that's suggesting to the one who's in control that they can be heroic and save these people.
He does the Hulk thing that I keep making this analog because like it's the easiest one.
He's the Hulk character.
Yeah, and that's what we all traffic in now with this trope. But he makes the like journey with where he's able to control himself.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really feel like it's a split personality anymore. And it's more like he's in control even when he's Mr. Hyde now.
Yeah.
And it kind of happens off screen. Like, or maybe it's this scene that is like, I'm not insane when I'm Mr. Hyde anymore.
It feels really weird. And it's probably another thing that just like got left at the cutting room floor of like,
oh, I'm sure,
him having an inner monologue with himself where he's not screaming at himself in a reflection, where he's like, me needs to step up and do like be the dude. I gotta be the guy.
Or like I need to be more in control.
Yes, so that we can do something.
This state.
Yeah,
and like I think Bruce Banner does for the most part do it off screen too, because when we just meet him in Infinity War, he's just suddenly like smart Hulk now.
They do. They use the 5-year time skip to be like,
that's right. Yeah,
so it does happen off screen, but like a lot of other things happen off screen. In that one specific instance.
Yeah, but anyway, that happens in this movie.
Yeah.
So the League are recovering from the bombing and betrayal, and then they discover that Skinner, the invisible guy, you can't say the invisible man,
can't say
I guess. They thought initially that he was the mole from the Phantom, because he disappeared, and they were just like, oh, that fucking dude like stole all of our shit and like disappeared. Well, they find out that actually no, he just knew that they were going to think he was a spy, which is weird.
He kind of like assumed,
and so he fucked off early anyway before the Venice thing.
Yeah,
and embedded himself with M. And like M doesn't know he's like there because he's invisible.
Yeah, he was in the Nautiloid with Dorian Gray.
That's right. That's how he explains it. Like he was in the little escape pod thing. Yeah, that Dorian Gray takes off in, and so he starts like telegraphing, like literally like what the telegraph Morse code, to the crew back on the Nautilus that like, hey, we're like in the Arctic, like he's got a factory, you got to come up here. And so they're like, oh great, like what a Deus Ex Machina. And so they get their shit together, and then they show up in the Arctic and rendezvous with Skinner in a cave. That's when he shows up like naked.
But as naked, yeah.
He's like, would you mind if we go inside? Like, I'm very cold. I can't feel anything.
My wiener has disappeared entirely.
They learn that M has built a gigantic factory where he is currently building tanks, like the one we saw in the beginning, tons of them. A bunch of submarines that are just like Nemo's, like 8 of them, I guess he says explicitly.
It was 8 of them. Yeah.
Armored infantry suits, which are just like walking tanks, I guess.
Did you ever play Battlefield 1?
Yeah.
Did you play
They do look like this.
Did you play the Spain mission?
You know what else has them is
or the Italy mission,
what's the game where you kill Nazis?
Wolfenstein.
Wolfenstein has stuff like this.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is while you're looking for your place again, when I played through Battlefield 1, with that mission specifically, I was like, this is so fucking wacky. There's no way that this happened in real World War One. And Jared, would you believe me if I told you they tried it and like they had like maybe 5 of those made, and nobody historically wore one, but like they definitely had people.
They had prototypes, yeah.
They had prototypes and had people walking around, and they realized like, you're so fucking slow and inaccurate that somebody can just get behind you and kill you.
Listen, speaking of like military prototypes that I found out were real from a video game.
Yeah.
Metal Gear.
No.
Is full of this.
Okay.
I don't mean like the Metal Gear.
Oh, okay. I was like, there's no fucking way.
No, I mean the series. Particularly in 3, which is the one that's set in the 60s.
Right.
There are just, all of a sudden you'll see soldiers flying on these like floating platforms. And they look like it looks like a little scooter that has a jetpack.
Yeah.
And it's when they first show up, you're like, oh, okay, they're like really like not breaking the fourth wall, just like jumping the shark kind of thing, like getting really out of control here, you know, because Metal Gear will do that.
Oh, of course.
No, that was a real thing. You can look up like archival footage of the Russians like testing these things. They were like, I think they were jet propelled, like floating platforms, and they were big enough for one person to stand on, and they would fly up, and they were like jetpacks, but instead they kind of look like a treadmill. It looks like a treadmill that you just kind of fly around on. They are based on real things.
That's crazy.
Fucking crazy.
That's wild.
Like, and watching the old footage of it, because it's like an old, like, it's black and white. It's at a weird frame rate, you know, because everything old has like that weird frame rate because they're all crank footage and shit.
Yeah.
And you see these like little, you know, GRU soldiers flying around these things, and you're like, what in the fuck? That shit's real.
That's tight, dude.
Anyway, where were we? They're learning about M's factory.
Yeah, they're talking about the armored soldiers.
Right, and he's building all this crazy shit. And so in addition to all of these like weapons that he's building, he has also stolen, with the help of Dorian Gray, samples of the Invisible Man's potions, Mina Gray's DNA or blood, and...
It was the Invisible Man's DNA, Mina's DNA, and Dr. Jekyll's
potions that turns him into Mr. Hyde. And he's using the scientists that he kidnapped from Germany to synthesize these and like mass produce them so that he can have like super soldiers and shit. So the League make a plan to like invade the factory and destroy it and like free all the scientists and everything. Okay, so they infiltrate the factory.
Yes.
They split into pairs to bring down each, you know, section.
Yes.
Mina faces off with Dorian Gray, immortal. And Mina discovers his portrait during their battle. Okay, wait, before I get there, we got to talk about the weird thing. He stakes her, but like through the chest. Oh, yeah, sorry.
He gets his picture back from M. That's why he was working with
I guess M like
had his portrait somehow.
He got him to be a double agent by stealing his portrait, which is like his kryptonite, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I love that I have to use like modern day comic book parlance to explain this. Like I really shouldn't, but like I think it helps.
That's essentially what it is.
But he's still like a bad guy to the end. Like he doesn't have to fight Mina.
This is true. He doesn't.
Like he could just be like, "Hey, listen, I'm done. Like I'm fucking off."
She's pissed.
But yeah, he's like, "I'm gonna kill you again."
Yeah,
you know. But so he puts a sword, not a stake, right? It's a sword.
It's his cane. He's walking around.
Oh, it's his cane, a sword cane.
Yeah,
right. And he like puts it through her chest and pins her to the bed. And what does he say? Will
I he says something along the lines of like, I always wanted to nail you again, or some shit.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't think I'd nail you again.
That's what it was. Yeah, fucking. Well, Jesus Christ.
He missed her heart, so she jumps up.
It's not even a fucking stake; it's a sword.
Well, yeah, but
that's not how it works.
He doesn't get her heart, though. Is the thing.
Sure.
So she gets back up a little later, finds his portrait, rips off the cover, and when he looks at the portrait, he disintegrates. I was expecting her to like slash it.
Yeah.
Does that doesn't happen in his book, right?
No.
Okay.
The way that the book works is after a very long time of him realizing that he doesn't age and his looks never go away, he knows that the portrait is decaying.
Right.
Because early on when he...
But him looking at it doesn't do anything to him.
No, but he... The climax of the book is him seeing the portrait after presumably 20 or 30 years.
Yeah.
And it causes him such great disgust that he goes to destroy it.
Right. And
then he stabs himself.
And he ends up hurting himself.
Yes.
It's like, think of like a voodoo doll kind of thing,
yeah.
You know? And that's why I was like, why doesn't she just slash the painting? It's such a weird...
You know, buddy,
thing.
Man, I don't really know. I don't know.
It's just a little... you know, twist.
Well, I mean, like you could also say, like in that fight also, the way that they're showing what's happening contradicts scenes that happened previously. Like Dorian slashes her face and she cuts his, and like you can see both their healing factor.
They both heal, and he goes, "We'll be at this forever."
Yeah, but earlier he cut her finger and got blood from her. How did he get blood from her when the slashes on her face don't cause any blood at all?
Oh yeah, how fast they heal depends on how relevant it is to the scene.
It's silly. So I mean, like those instances are poorly written, but it's whatever. And like watching him decay.
It's a cool effect.
2003,
he literally turns to dust, and you see his skeleton collapse. That was pretty great. Yeah,
and the portrait goes back to the way it was, just like in the book.
Oh yeah,
like in the book, apparently they find a rotten husk in the attic, and then they see the portrait, and the portrait's perfectly fine. It was like a couple days after he was seen going in there, so like he rapidly aged.
Yeah. Anyway, Mr. Hyde ends up facing off with a henchman who takes a large dose of the Mr. Hyde serum.
You can't take too much of the dose.
And the guy turns into an enormous red figure, several times larger than Mr. Hyde. So Captain Nemo and Mr. Hyde have to face off against this monstrosity, but he's no match for it. And Mr. Hyde's juice ends up running out, turns back into Dr. Jekyll, and they get away by just hiding in a little crevice.
They're tiny. They can hide.
Until they can get out of the building, and then the rest of the building collapses on the guy.
Yeah, from all the other explosions.
Yeah.
Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, so that one doesn't really have like a fun
No, they didn't have a good ending for those two.
No, yeah.
Sucked.
Meanwhile, Skinner, the invisible guy, and Tom Sawyer are facing off against a new invisible guy.
Yes.
Just some random henchman, I think. Oh, no, wait. It's the emissary, isn't it, from the beginning?
The redheaded guy, yeah.
Because we don't see him.
No.
But I think it's supposed to be him, yeah. He takes an invisibility potion or something and starts fighting Skinner and Tom Sawyer.
There's also an armored dude with a flamethrower.
Right. And he distracts Tom Sawyer. But then Skinner helps him kill that guy, and then that's when
he gets
the new
roasted.
invisible guy comes in and gets him.
Yeah.
M is facing off against Quatermain, and that's when Quatermain confronts him and says, you're Moriarty, aren't you? You know, Sherlock Holmes' arch nemesis. And then as he's about to give M like the killing blow, he's like cornered him and he's about to kill him. M holds up his phantom mask, and in the reflection, Quatermain can see that Tom Sawyer is being held hostage behind him by the guy.
Invisible guy, yeah.
And so Quatermain, gives up the killing blow to turn around and kill the guy holding Tom Sawyer hostage. But that opens him up, and M stabs Quatermain in the back. Tom Sawyer rushes up to Quatermain, takes his rifle, and Quatermain encourages him to shoot and kill the escaping M.
But you have to wait until the shot feels right.
Right, because it's mimicking this scene where he's teaching him how to shoot on the boat.
From a really long range.
And also his glasses, Quatermain's glasses are broke, so he knows he can't take the shot.
Yeah.
The tiger
he's also dying.
It's his time. Yeah, he's dying from the stab wound. And then, so Tom Sawyer lines up the shot and takes it and manages to kill him in one hit. Turns around triumphantly and realizes that Quatermain has died as he did it. But it's a really nice scene.
It's passing of the torch.
Exactly. It's a passing of the torch. I think it's done really well and tasteful. And also it's like, we learned earlier in the movie that Quatermain's son died, and
he died of smallpox, by the way. In the book.
So it's not said in the movie.
It's not said in the movie how
because I think
dies.
there's some regret there that like he never got to see him take his mantle and pass the torch to his own son and see him become the kind of man that he wanted him to be, you know, and follow in his footsteps.
Yeah.
And I think now that Tom Sawyer is there to be that surrogate son, there's a lot of pride because you can tell he's happy about this as he's passing away, watching him take the shot. But I just thought it was a nice scene. And, like poetry rhymes to be reductive, but...
Exactly.
But no, I legitimately was like, oh, that's actually a nice arc.
They spend a lot of time fostering a good friendship between these two characters.
Right, yeah.
Very much like how,
it's a protege and,
Yeah. Also, like, if you think about it too, as far as world powers go, Britain is the world power at the time in the 1800s. And
1,000%.
And America is currently rising, and America is seen as like a... upstart, spunky
from one colonial superpower to another.
Exactly. Shoot first, ask questions later. It doesn't really matter how many shots you take as long as you land one of them. Sort of thing. Instead of being calm, reserved, and understanding what you're supposed to do to get the job done.
Yeah.
So it's cool. I like it.
Yeah,
I like their.
I liked it too. It was good. But yeah, having completed their mission, thwarting M's plans, the remaining members of the League reconvene in Kenya to bury Quatermain. And they agree to continue their adventures to protect the world. And as they are departing, a witch doctor is seen performing a ritual over Quatermain's grave. And it cuts to credits, but it's heavily implied that he's resurrecting Quatermain. It's fucking weird.
Yeah. So
it's like, it's both like culturally insensitive, it feels like. Because like, I don't think any black people get any spoken lines in this movie.
There's one. Hot and Totter. That's Quatermain's butler.
a butler. A servant.
I know.
For fuck's sake.
No. I understand.
Because like Captain Nemo, I think is Indian.
Yes, he is.
So there's at least a non-white person with a major role in this movie, but it's one.
It's one person. Yeah. No, I understand. It deals in like
colonies and like that's so weird. And
I get it. I'm not going to do any apologia here. However,
100%.
That is a reference. And they speak about it earlier.
To the whole like he can't die in Africa.
The reason being is the author for the books of Alan Quatermain, he never had a distinct timeline, so he had Quatermain die like in different parts of the books. Like the books aren't chronological, so there's bits and pieces where he dies in the books, but then comes back in another book later on, and so it's a reference to that.
Oh, because I know earlier in the movie he mentions that like he was cursed by a witch doctor to never be able to die in Africa, and so maybe that would explain why he doesn't die in those books. I don't know.
It's a weird way of giving a larger than life bit to this character.
Wow, so he's more like James Bond than I realized too.
Yeah.
Because like James Bond, it's implied that like it's not the same guy.
No, but
like,
it's the same moniker.
It's just a moniker that's given to different agents. Yeah, exactly. And like, because they really lean into that in Skyfall, and it's really fucking cool.
That's actually what I like. I've never watched those films, and I guess I should go and rewatch them. But apparently, like,
I really only like the Daniel Craig ones.
Oh no, that's
okay.
fine. But like the Daniel Craig ones, that specific James Bond is attempting to be the James Bond of other James Bond films, and like so he just picks up.
They make a lot of winks and nods to be like, oh, the other James Bond really liked this car, kind of shit. You know, you're like, oh wow, I like that they made that reference there.
And,
you know,
and Q is the same between this one and right? Is she not the same actress?
M.
I'm so sorry, not Q.
Yeah,
M. My bad.
It's for a little bit.
I know she
until
died.
Skyfall.
Yeah.
It sucks. I know maybe she was ready to retire from it, but like I really hated that they killed her off.
I want to say like
you know who she gets replaced by?
No,
Rafe.
No
Rafe
shit.
Fiennes. Yeah, I always stumble on his name.
That's wild.
Yeah. So mad about that.
I gotta find. Because
I love Judi Dench so much.
She's great.
Yeah.
There's a Film Joy video essay on all of the James Bonds and how they're like the penultimate evolution of the character and whatnot, and how it like deals with misogyny and stuff. It's been like
they make a reckoning in the Daniel Craig movies.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I'm like it's been a
dude in the first movie he gets cock and ball tortured by Mads Mikkelsen.
I saw that.
It's so good.
Yeah,
Casino Royale fucking
rules.
Rips, dude. Is the greatest James Bond movie by leaps and bounds. Honestly,
I've ever seen.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you've seen peak James Bond already.
Tight.
Like honestly, all the ones after it are still great, just in different ways. But like Casino Royale is peak Bond.
I gotcha.
Cock and ball torture.
Cock and ball torture, dude. You don't see it anymore. You never. See it
He's just swinging that thing like a pendulum.
Yeah.
Like when he rips out the webbing of the chair, you're like, what is he doing?
It's tight, dude. It's so good. So what did you like about this movie?
There was no cock and ball torture. That's a strike.
That is a strike. That's true.
I need CBT in every movie.
You don't know what Mina and Dorian were getting up to when he was nailing her one last time. He's immortal.
He could experience
it. He can take it.
Yeah, he could
take
it.
He's into it.
Is his bottom half even on that portrait?
No. It's not.
Okay. I mentioned this, but director Stephen Norrington had such a bad time.
Oh, that's right.
Making this movie. We got to get into like the dirt.
No, that's true. This is true.
He had such a bad time making this movie that he announced he would never direct another movie again. And as of press time, he is not. And I do not think he will anytime soon. What he said were his least favorite parts was the studio supervision, and he was uncomfortable having a large crew.
Yeah,
which is what I was talking about earlier. Yeah. This was another reason this movie is very, very infamous. It is the final live action role by Sean Connery. He retired from acting after this.
That's right. Yeah, it killed 2 careers.
Yeah.
Well, I guess not killed, but sent 2 people into retirement.
Yeah. Sean Connery did do like a couple of speaking roles.
Yeah.
In like a couple of weird movies here and there.
Yeah.
After this, it's like 3 or 4 credits on his IMDb after this.
But he was done.
One of them, I don't know how they got him. It's like some really weird small Scottish movie. I don't even know if it was real. It sounded fake the more I read about it. But yeah, Sean Connery had such a bad time. He also retired from acting and then died in 2020.
It sounds like he fucking hated Steven.
Oh yeah, they fought a lot on set.
It sounds like they hated each other.
So in a Q&A with Empire Magazine, Jason Fleming was asked if the fights between Sean Connery and Stephen Norrington were as bad as reported, and he replied, "They were actually worse." And quote, "You know when someone in your class is getting told off and your toes curl up in your black shoes? That's how it was. My favorite fight was in Venice. The League had to walk from Captain Nemo's boat down the street, the Magnificent Seven style. At the end of the take, Sean shouted to Norrington, 'What, you want us to do that again?' He replied, 'For 18 million, I don't think it's too much to ask you to walk down a road,' to which Sean Connery's reply was unprintable."
Dude, he sounds like such a fucking asshole. Also,
honestly, in that, I think Norrington was probably right to fight with him.
Oh, 100%. For 18 million, you can't walk down a fucking street again? Yeah, fuck you, dude.
I wonder how much of their fighting was Sean Connery just not respecting him because he's only done one other big movie, you know?
This is probably true.
Yeah.
It was Sir Billy.
Yeah, that's the one. It doesn't sound real.
It doesn't, dude. It looks fucking crazy.
It looks and sounds fake, doesn't it?
It does, dude.
It's like a Tim and Eric sketch.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I know. It's like a Tim and Eric sketch for real.
Everybody, you're doing yourself a disservice if you don't go to IMDb and look up Sir Billy, Billi. It's just so silly.
There's like one of the reviews on IMDb is like, "It's a disgrace to my entire country."
Did they by chance talk about like how misogynist was that just Sean Connery ad-libbing in the
No, that was in the script, I think.
Was it really? That's so sad.
Okay.
What's up?
You know who was originally going to play Mina Harker, but had to drop out due to schedule conflicts? And I think it was with The Matrix.
Shit. Because
they were filming the Matrix movies up at the same time.
I read that, but I can't remember her name. What's her name?
Monica Bellucci.
Who is that?
She is Persephone in The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions. She was also in a really fucked up French movie called Irreversible.
I know Irreversible.
Do not watch that movie.
No, I have
Listener, do not watch that movie. She's a beautiful, beautiful Italian actress. David Lynch also famously had a crush on her because there's a scene in season 3 of Twin Peaks where he's like, "I had the Monica Bellucci dream again." And this is an excuse for him to film a scene with her.
That's so fucking funny.
But yeah, 13-year-old me had a major crush on her.
That's funny. Okay.
She was
married to Tim Burton?
I believe it. I don't know how he. Never mind. Look at his ex-wives.
She's married to him right now.
Currently,
they got married in 2023.
Fucking. I hope he jumps off a cliff.
It's her, right? Is this one?
I think so.
Bellucci.
In the middle or all three?
It's all three of these.
Oh yeah, probably yeah.
Yeah.
Google her in the Matrix.
Okay.
You'll see why.
Will do. Oh, calm down.
Listen, man, I had a little. One of the DVDs came with like a postcard-sized picture of her.
And this came out in 2003 as well. You were 13.
Buddy,
you were in the throes of adolescence.
Testosterone was finally coursing through my veins, and she came on screen. Because, like, I'm going to be honest, Carrie Ann Moss didn't do a lot for me. But
oh, my God. You crack me up, dude. I love you so much. Thank you for having me on this fucking podcast.
Listen, the Wachowskis put her in that outfit for a reason, okay?
I love you so much.
God bless the Wachowskis.
You crack me up, dude. Crack me up.
That's staying in, baby.
I do like that in the graphic novel, there are 3 generations of Captain Nemo's.
Yeah.
3 generations of Ishmael's. It's just Mina. It's always Mina.
Yeah.
And then like they cycle through a bunch of different
Quatermains and stuff too.
The characters.
Yeah.
But like at a certain point, they do War of the Worlds.
Yes, that's it was going to be the sequel. And in fact, they tease it in this movie. There's a poster referencing it in the background of one of the scenes.
Oh my God, that's what the alien thing was? I saw that poster and I was like, that's fucking weird.
Yep.
That's a weird poster. Why is that? Dan, can you imagine? You know what's funny?
Hey, you know what's a great movie?
War of the Worlds.
Yeah, the Spielberg one.
Yeah, it fucking rules.
We should cover that.
I would love to.
That movie's terrifying.
Yeah.
It is the best post 9/11 movie.
Yeah.
That's not about 9/11.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I feel like we're not really saying anything original, but like, fuck, if you haven't seen that movie or if you haven't seen it like since it released, like check it out.
I love that movie.
It is a horrifying movie and it's so good about dealing with trauma.
I can't remember if I saw that in theaters with my wife or not.
I think it came out before you guys were together. because it's old. I think it was
is
around 2005.
Sometime around the time.
I think it was around Batman Begins time.
Yeah,
Because I remember seeing it in high school and being like, "Whoa, this was
Holy
a lot
shit.
scarier than I was
Yeah,
expecting."
yeah,
I thought it was
not
going to be like
expecting
kind of
it to be-
goofy, you know? Because
the moment they
OG,
started turning people into dust, I was like, "Holy fuck, this is crazy!"
the whole thing with Tim Robbins in the basement.
Yeah,
that one place.
it's dark
oh
as
my
fuck.
god!
Yeah,
Damn, that movie's fucked up.
so good.
Spielberg, man.
So, did you know that Hulu has the rights to this, and they're attempting?
I do know that.
to
My
make another
very
one?
last note here, in all bold, a reboot of this film was announced over 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And as recently as 2022, it was still expected to premiere on Hulu. So it is in the works.
I would watch it.
Oh, sure.
I
Fuck
think
yeah,
the
I'll watch
concept
it.
of this is so clever.
And that's
so
why it
cool.
sold before the fucking comic book even came out.
Yeah. And like, dude, Alan Moore, he doesn't miss when it comes to like concepts. Oh, what?
Are you familiar with the Lost Girls?
You would know better than I would because like
Yeah.
I only know V for Vendetta, fucking
Yeah. His major hits.
Yeah, I don't know anything else outside of those three things.
He's got a really good Green Lantern run.
Does he?
Yeah.
Which Green Lantern?
It's how Hal Jordan met the Green Lantern that he meets. I forget what he is,
Mhm.
but the one that crash lands on Earth and
Yeah.
hands over the ring to Hal Jordan.
Okay,
Because like he meets like, oh man, I got to paraphrase the comic I haven't read in like 10 years.
it's okay.
But basically that Green Lantern meets this like oracle on
Mhm.
another planet, but like he's like evil. And so people tell you like, hey, like he's either telling you the truth or he's telling you something that's going to fuck with you, and then you can make it come true because you're like trying to avoid it.
Mhm.
And they tell him like, you're going to die one day, but your death is going to bring about one of the greatest Green Lanterns ever known. And he's like, fuck, that's kind of heavy, you know?
Yeah.
And then one day he's like flying through space and like, he's like, I'm relying on my ring too much. I should turn it off and like work on my reserve power.
Mhm.
And that's why he ends up crashing on Earth
Oh,
and
no
dying.
shit.
And like that's when Hal Jordan finds his ship and he just goes, fuck, they were right. And he hands the ring over to Hal Jordan.
That's tight. That's a cool
it's one of those like
ending.
really cool like circular kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
did they actually predict it, or did they cause him to do that because they foretold
told
it to
him?
him?
Yeah.
Was it what is it called when you not manifest?
Manifest Destiny?
No, it's not that.
I don't know. I'm not. I'm
but
not.
it's when you make something come true. There's a term for this, but it's when you make something come true
I'm not a
because you were
smart
thinking
person.
about it so much.
Jared. I don't know. Sorry.
But it's like it's a form of
Yeah.
manifesting
Yeah,
because
yeah,
like
yeah.
they tell you to do that. Like, what are your goals? Write them down and repeat them to yourself.
Right.
You know, every morning, kind of shit.
Yeah.
You know.
You know what? They don't make them like they used to.
Okay, Alan Moore,
Yes.
a major miss of his. Number one,
Mhm.
I don't know his work extensively,
Yeah.
but I can tell you two major
You
things
know better than
he
I do.
missed on. One of them was The Killing Joke.
Oh, that's right. You don't like that.
I hate that comic
Yeah.
because it objectifies.
Yeah.
Barbara Gordon.
Yep. I
It's
agree with that.
Really fucked up.
Yeah. It
That
is.
movie, or that not that movie. I mean, it is a movie now.
Yeah.
They made like an animated movie based on it.
I watched it.
Is it any good?
It does not help with the objectification. of
Oh,
Barbara
I
Gordon.
bet. I bet they, because it's kind of glossed over in the comic.
Yeah.
And even Alan Moore was like, I regret doing that. That was fucked up. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
It became way too big of a thing. People really fetishized it too because of it afterwards. It's really fucked up.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
But even he's like, I fucked up. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah. I mean, like the idea of one bad day, like harping on that. Like, I can understand what
That's fine. But it's the whole
how do you get there? I understand.
paralyzing
Yeah.
Barbara Gordon and then taking sexually explicit photos of her to show to her dad. It's
Yeah.
so fucked.
They added another thing at the beginning of it.
Of course they did.
Which did not
I don't
help
even-
at all.
don't
I'm
tell
not going
me.
to tell you. I'm not going to tell you
Because I know
it's
in one of the
gross.
animated movies, they had Harley and Nightwing hook up.
Nope, not that one. That's not what happened in this
Oh,
one.
yeah, this is a different
Yeah.
movie, I know. But
Yeah.
I remember reading that and being like, well, I'm checking out on the DC animated movies, I guess, because they were good for a while. But
Yeah.
And they just started pumping them out like every 6 months, too.
Right. The animation studio is good.
Yeah.
Like it's one of the best like not low budget, but like, you know,
Mhm.
how do you say like
production
quality?
houses.
Quality American animation.
Yeah. The
Number
other
two.
thing of his I didn't think was a good idea was Lost Girls.
I don't know what that
and
is.
it's like League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but for young women in literature, like Alice from Alice in Wonderland.
Oh, okay.
And I've forgotten all the other ones,
Sure.
but I know that's one of them.
Yeah.
But they all get together and I think just become a hedonist.
Oh.
Just to like, I don't remember. I remember reading about it when it was first coming out and being like, wow, okay, even I'm not that horny, kind of thing.
Tight.
Um,
And then Mina Harker shows up and is like,
probably. I honestly wouldn't put it past him.
that's funny.
Anyway, I know the dude really likes South Park now.
Does he?
He did an interview with like because he doesn't do a lot of those.
Yeah.
But he gave an interview to like a guy, a journalist, and he was just like, hey, do you watch South Park? He's like, it's really good. And he's like talking about all the episodes he just watched. Yeah.
I wonder what he thinks about the Warhammer episode.
Oh, yeah, because he probably knows that universe.
Yeah.
I bet he's friends with like Warhammer guys.
I bet you he is.
Oh,
Aaron
'cause he's British,
Densky
too.
Bowden. I bet you he knows a bunch of those dudes.
Yeah.
I watched
You got
Craven.
anything? What is it?
Craven.
Oh my God, Craven.
So you know how earlier when I was eating dinner at your place, I said I watched a recent superhero movie that felt
was the
very
one you
reminiscent to the late 90s,
talked
early
around.
2000s.
Okay.
And it's fucking Craven. How did this get made? How
Listen,
did it get made?
It's by the Sony.
I know.
studio
It's Columbia
that
Pictures,
does
and it's
Morbius
so
and-
bad.
yeah.
No, it was worse than anything else I've ever seen. It was worse than Madame Web, and I don't. understand.
Madam Web.
I don't even know how the fuck it could possibly be
Madame
that.
Web.
Madame Web. My Madame Web. It was better than this fucking Craven movie. I don't understand it. I don't fucking get it. Like, yeah, the action was pretty good because like they had the R rating so they could get crazy with it. But having the villain being the Rhino, and the Rhino has like a genetic skin condition that he has to like have a tube go into his body and wear a fucking backpack with some liquid in it.
He's
And then-
diabetic?
essentially. But when he takes the tube out, his skin gets hard and he
Oh
gets
my
buff and he grows a
God.
fucking horn. And like, dude, there's a part where a guy comes into, and I'm sure you've seen it, a guy comes into a room to the Rhino and says, the Kravinoff hit didn't go as planned. And he goes,
Yeah, he
or
just makes a
something like
weird
that.
noise.
He makes a weird fucking noise. It doesn't, oh my God.
It was going around Blue Sky like crazy when the movie came out.
So
and people were like, this isn't real,
bad.
right? This is an edit to make it look stupid. Yeah.
No, it's I just like it made no fucking sense. It felt like a studio not knowing what the fuck it was doing, taking a big swing
That's
on some
all
sort of
of
property.
these Sony Marvel movies, man.
It's
They're all
crazy.
bad.
They've never-
Venom 1 was okay.
Yeah, I watched Venom 3 and I turned it off.
I'm sure. 'Cause
It was bad.
2 I hated, yeah.
Yeah, 2 was bad. 2 was
2
really
got
bad.
so sloppy.
Yeah, I know. I don't understand it, man.
Yeah.
Like it was, you have all of this data from fucking 30 years ago that tells you you don't need to do shit like this, and then they choose to do it anyways. It doesn't make any fucking sense. It makes no goddamn sense at all.
They just don't care.
No, clearly they
They're
don't.
not picking credible screenwriters or directors. They're just hiring a big name and attaching it and then throwing money away.
But Aaron Taylor Johnson isn't a big name.
I would argue he kind of is. He's really come up a lot in the last few years.
I guess.
He's in Tenet, man. Yeah, no one remembers that, but he's in Tenet.
I forgot that.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
He's like the third guy in Tenet.
I can't even like visualize his face in that movie.
I can't either.
Like I know he's going to be in that 28 Years Later movie, and I'm very excited to see that movie. It's all got Ray Fiennes in it, and like the set. Hey, look, dude, the set looks amazing. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. Don't shit on my parade.
That franchise died to me after the first sequel, and I'm just like, yeah, okay,
Oh, you
it
didn't
was
like
a one
the-
and done.
you didn't like the
No.
second movie?
No, I didn't care for 28 weeks.
I like Jeremy Renner.
I forgot he's in that. I didn't know who he was at the time either.
Yeah, I didn't either. But like,
Listen, there is one really cool part of that movie.
he dies like a hero. It's really
and
cool.
it's when the helicopter blades.
Oh,
lean
that
in.
was the cool. Yeah, that was absolutely the coolest
That's
thing.
fucking sick.
Yeah, that
I do
shit's
remember
nuts.
even was watching it with my girlfriend at the time, my now wife.
Yeah, my wife.
My wife. And I was like, okay, this movie's not very good, but there's like one really good scene that's coming up. And it was like when the helicopter comes into the field with the thing.
Have you seen it on TV? Edited for TV?
No.
That whole sequence is like totally
I
fucked
wouldn't.
up.
I think I watched one edited for TV and was really mad about all the stuff they were cutting.
Yeah. Was
Yeah.
it Starship Troopers?
No, the first 20 days
Oh,
later.
I
Sorry,
gotcha.
20 days later one is what I meant.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, because like that movie, like the violence is crucial
Oh yeah.
to like understanding that movie.
Dude, the violence is the juice, dude.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like, it's meant to be so jarring.
Mm-hmm.
Because like when you see Cillian Murphy freak the fuck out, you know, that's when you're supposed to be like, oh God. And then when he's not fazed by it later, you know, anyway, this isn't that movie.
No, it's not that movie.
What a good movie.
It could be that movie.
One day.
Yeah. I like the second one, but I like Jeremy Renner. Anything Jeremy Renner's in, I usually like.
And they did such a weird departure when they cast Sandra Bullock in the third one, and she's just like a recovering alcoholic. That was such a weird turn for that franchise.
The third one hasn't come out yet.
No, 28 Days.
There's
Was it a
28 days.
prequel?
No. What are you talking about?
It's a romantic comedy. It's called 28 Days.
Oh my God. Dude, I'm sorry. Joke went right over my head.
Right over your head.
I've never seen 28 Days, so you got me. Sorry. I've never seen that.
Yeah, it was.
You fucked me
God
up,
damn
dude.
it. I was really hoping you would just like pick it up and
You
just
were
improv
like
it with
trying
me.
to tell me with your eyes too,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? There hasn't been a third one yet. It's coming out soon.
It's a romantic comedy about Sandra Bullock is like an alcoholic and she goes to rehab and she can't drink for 28 days.
Oh, okay.
And she meets a guy in rehab that she likes. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Is it Cillian Murphy?
I doubt it. I don't think he did any of those movies. Yeah.
If only.
He looks too creepy to be a romantic lead, I
Nah.
think. No, because even remember when he did Red Eye?
Red Eye, yeah. Well,
He's the freaky guy in that.
Yeah.
And people were like, whoa, yeah. Because he auditioned to be Christopher Nolan's Batman.
No shit, I didn't know that.
And yeah, you can see it's on the extra scenes on the Blu-ray.
Uh-huh.
And you can actually see him in the suit
Oh, that's cool.
doing the audition. And Christopher Nolan's like, it's great. You're just not there.
Yeah.
You know? He's like, I need a little bit more there. And, you know,
And then he
Christian
becomes a
Bale's.
Scarecrow.
Yeah, he's like, he ended up casting him as Scarecrow because he's like, you were so good, you just weren't Batman.
Right.
And I mean, Christian Bale fucking.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I told you, whatchamacallit, Christian Bale is my Batman. I forget Kevin Conroy. He is Batman. Kevin Conroy is Batman.
Yeah, but he never played him on screen.
I know.
Wait, I think he did on like a CW show. Yeah, he did. That's right. It was like some shitty CW
I
show.
remember you asked me who my Batman was, and then you answered with Kevin Conroy.
The voice,
so.
it's Kevin Conroy
Yeah.
every time. Yeah,
But it's
RIP,
Christian Bale for me.
Fucking legend, man.
Yeah, for real.
God.
It's a shame his last
Gone too
project
soon.
was that fucking Suicide Squad game. Oh, wait, no.
Would you believe it wasn't? They
It's
keep
not. That's right.
announcing
That's right.
one more thing
That's right.
that they recorded.
That's right.
It's
I forgot
so
about that.
weird. They've done this like 3 times.
Yeah. I don't want that Suicide Squad thing to be his last fucking project.
No, nobody did. Even when it was announced, people were like, oh, fuck, because everyone knew it was going to be bad.
Yeah.
I was like, this game's not good. And now you can get it for like $3.
Dude, live service games, they're bullshit. We've already talked for too long.
I know. I'm
you
sorry.
cannot get me started.
I know.
Can't get me started.
Speaking of games,
Did you know Assassin's Creed Shadows is out?
I know. I was like, I could cue you up and make you talk about that for a while.
don't
probably.
get me started.
Well, folks, that's been our show. Thank you for listening to Debaser. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to us on your podcast app and follow us on social media by searching for @DebaserPod. We are on Blue Sky, Instagram, and Facebook. My wonderful co-host is Will Taylor. Will, where can people find you? And do you have anything to plug?
You can find me on Instagram and Blue Sky, pocket_infinity on Instagram, and Will Switching Gidge on Blue Sky. I don't post anything except for like our podcast because I just don't post. I'm not a poster.
Yeah, I don't post a lot of, I just repost stuff.
Yeah.
Funny shit that I like and agree with. All my reposts are co-signed. What is it called? Like, reposts aren't endorsements. No, they are on my feed, actually. And if I'm wrong, if something is wrong, tell me.
Tell me, yeah, that's
Fact.
for sure.
Somebody I follow, a mutual, was making fun of Murder Brian the other day from Guys,
Yeah.
podcast about guys, and was like clowning on him because they didn't realize he was like goofing. Because he posted this thing that was like calling on the military to like prevent Trump from doing stuff. It was like one of those like really dumb neo-lib memes.
Yeah.
And this guy that I follow, Chef Lubu, shout out, he thought it was for real. And I was like, brother,
No,
this
it's
isn't.
a bit. It's a bit.
Like, it's a bit. Like, he's goofing. Like, I know he used to huff gas as a kid, but this is, he's goofing on these guys. And he deleted it and he was like, okay, I will take your word for it. And I had to explain to him, I'm like, listen, he's like an OG leftist, like Chapo Trap House met on his podcast. Like, he's like an OG. Like, I swear to God,
He's got the bona fides.
Yeah, and
Chill.
he's like, okay, I got you. And I was like, I saved someone from embarrassing themselves,
That's
man.
tight. Good job, man. It's that internet street cred. dude.
Exactly. I got to build a community on here, you know?
Bored.
All right. Well, for my co-host, Will Taylor, I'm Jared Rusk. Take care and good night.
Night.
Debaser, a film podcast, is hosted and produced by Will Taylor and Jared Rusk. The show is mixed and edited by Jared Rusk. The theme song is also by Jared Rusk. The cover art is by Dog Bites Back on Instagram. Special thanks to Haley and Courtney for their love and understanding. Check out debaserpod.com for links to all of our episodes and to find us on social media like Blue Sky, Instagram, and YouTube. Thank you for listening, and take care of each other.